Hey everybody, it's Jim and I'm back with another product review. And today I'm going to be talking about the Vox Amplug 2 metal guitar headphone amplifier. Plug in, get metal. Plug the Amplug metal into your guitar for a blast of high gain power anytime. Well, let's see. But I do think that this thing is pretty awesome, and I think that any guitarist or bassist could benefit from this for quite a number of reasons. They have a few different models to choose from. The first thing to notice is the size. This thing is small. Now look at the packaging. It's kind of like what like hose patch cables come in. And then I just want to show something about this. So here's the package, and here's what it came in. I got it from Sweetwater. So they put quite a lot of packing material in there, so that way they ensure that things don't get damaged, which, you know, good on Sweetwater for that, looking out for the customer. Probably not the most environmentally friendly thing, but you can't please everybody, right? So this thing right here, it is very small. It is about the same size as my Samson wireless transmitter. So, in comparison, so it's really it's not very big at all. It weighs nothing, and it's small enough to where it'll fit in any guitar case, so you can take it anywhere you go with whatever guitar you bring. And if you notice this, the jack collar is actually, it's like a little over a ½ inch, so that's great because it'll fit into any guitar, especially your Ibanez. So, like for example, so here it is in a Strat, and you can easily move it, you know, out of the way. It's still out of the way you're playing. It does say in the instructions, because I did read the instructions, since, you know, this is a very simple product, I figured there wouldn't be that much. So it says to pull it out from the jack end, because otherwise you could damage it. And here it is in an Ibanez S series. Now granted, a few years ago somebody actually did put an extension in for me, because they're usually pretty recessed in there. But if you have one like that, I'd recommend getting an extension. It makes life a lot easier. Another one. So another guitar. If you notice, you can tuck that away, and it'll fit odd shaped guitars like an Ironbird here. It sits out of the way. Even if you were to turn it the other way, you know, it's still discreet enough. Another thing too is, I'm sure the base model is the same way, but as far recessed in as that is, it's still in there, nice and snug, and has just a little bit of wiggle room. And you can see how far down that recessed cavity is. Ibanez loves to do that. So I got this on Sweetwater. It was $50 US, and that's not a bad price at all, considering everything that this comes with. And I'll get into that for a moment, but I just want to show a comparison of other headphone amp models. So let's compare it to another product. So this is a Marshall, and what does it say here? Distortion and enough volume for good clean fun, whatever that means. Controls for overdrive, tone, volume, powered by one 9-volt battery, includes belt clip, headphone jack, and 5 3/4 inch high, and 5 3/4 inches high. So 5 3/4 inches high, that's basically like the Sans amp here. So you would still have to have something to plug from your guitar into the amplifier, and then it comes with a belt clip, so you'd have to clip it on here, and that's just some big bulky thing you'd have to, plus it's $2 less than I bought this for. So here are its features. It's got that authentic Marshall look, like you could mistake anything else for a Marshall. crank and overdrive, tone and volume controls, and a headphone jack. So that's all it's got for 50 bucks. And that's not really trying to trash Marshall. It's just saying that, you know, their product is about the same price and it has less features and it's a bulkier product. Whereas this thing, it has a couple different settings. It has gain, tone, and volume like the Marshall does, except this one has 3 different distortion channels. It has I think a mid-cut low and a mid-cut high, and then an uncut one. So it has 3 different distortion tones. It also has 3 different sets of effects that each have 3 different settings on them. So you've got 9 different effects. You can't use them simultaneously, but each one is good for its purpose. You have 3 different choruses, 3 different reverbs, and 3 different delays. And I'll get into all those in a bit here. It's also got an 1/8" headphone jack, so it's pretty convenient. So you don't need an adapter or anything if you just got earbuds. And I actually ended up buying a set of these on Amazon, and I could put a link to the description. There was, you know, and it comes with like this little pouch, you know, that's cool. And they weren't bad. They're like they have a flat ribbon cable, so that way they're going to be a little more durable. And even the parts near the earbuds, even they're flat cables, so that'll probably last a little bit longer. They had a couple of different brands. They had a Panasonic, and a lot of people seem to have trouble with them going out within 2 weeks to a month, and Panasonic, somewhere between Panasonic and Amazon, giving them trouble about returns and refunds and all that stuff. And these just really had overwhelmingly positive reviews, so I went with those, and they were $11, so they were $2 more than the Panasonic and $2 for less headache, I guess. But they sound pretty good, you know, for just cheap earbuds. But the nice thing is, you know, this just runs on 2 AAAs. That's it. So it says that it can run for 17 hours with no effects, and it can run for 11 hours with effects on. And that seems to be for any of the models. It also has an auto off feature. If it's left alone, no controls are set or anything for 30 minutes, it automatically shuts off. So that's good. It saves you battery life. In the instructions, it does say to remove the batteries if you're not planning on using it for a while, because they could leak and cause damage and corrosion, which you shouldn't leave batteries in any electronics for a long period of time if they're going to lie dormant anyway. So I did actually read the instructions. Since this is a very simple product, I figured, you know, it would be an easy read. Because, you know, for the most part, it's, you know, dumb instructions like, you know, don't light this on fire kind of stuff. You know, like one thing was saying, you know, handling. To avoid breakage, do not apply excessive force to the switches or controls. I mean, that's pretty obvious, but I guess some people need to be told that. You know, don't beast it. It's plastic. It's not an amplifier. It's a circuit board in a plastic box. Treat it like with respect. A couple things I did want to point out. So it says, when disconnecting the Amplug from your guitar, you must grasp Amplug near the base of its input plug. If you grasp at the end, you risk breaking the Amplug. So I'd showed that earlier. So just don't grab it from the end, because, you know, it's pretty hollow. There's not much on the end here, and you could definitely damage this. So obviously grab it from the side with the jack. It's, again, probably doesn't need to be explained, you know, but some people might need that information. It says, disconnect Amplug from your guitar before leaning your guitar against a wall or laying it on the floor. If you fail to do so, Amplug or your guitar may strike the floor and be damaged. Now, if you're leaning your guitar against a wall or laying it on the floor, you probably deserve to have something break off in your input jack. Just saying. Put it in a stand, you monkey! Now, one interesting detail I do want to point out is something that a few people in some of the customer reviews on Sweetwater had mentioned, where they had made comments that the controls actually end up being on the bottom. So especially if you have a Gibson style input jack, your controls end up being on this side, which, you know, that's a little bit silly. They probably could have put them up here, but then again, you know, the headphone jack, where it's located, that wouldn't have made too much sense. So that is a little bit of a strange thing, but if you actually just get used to where everything is, and then, you know, you learn where the button is and you get used to the feel of it, then it probably won't be so bad. I mean, it only has 3 knobs and it's easy to tell what each of them are doing. But on the other hand, if you have a Fender style input jack, then you can more easily see to get to it from here. Now, I don't know how much this will get in the way with the headphone jack coming out here, right where the tone knob is, so you probably have to turn it anyway. But I guess once you're familiar with it, it probably wouldn't be so bad, you know, again. But it's just an interesting detail. Some people did say that a thing they did do was they actually got a small patch cable, and they said they just ran the patch cable into a coupler into this, and, you know, that way if like they had it on their bed or something next to them, then they didn't really have to worry about it, and they could actually pick it up and have the different controls for it. I mean, you know, tomato, tomato, whatever your practical choice is. So another cool feature is, well, the headphone jack is actually on this side, so it's not like there like I thought for a second there, but this is actually an aux in, so I guess you can plug something into that and play along to it in your headphones with guitar. So if you're listening to a song and you're just trying to practice along to it, then that could be really beneficial, especially if you're playing to your own stuff and trying to keep up with, you know, outside of band practice and things like that. You know, overwhelming positive customer reviews really sold me on it. 5 stars. You know, you won't believe this. Wow, holy, awesome. Just purchased a second one. Nice, excellent, fantastic. A lot of people really gave it great reviews. Happy wife, happy life. And everybody was pretty happy with it. And there's only like, you know, there's only 1 bad review, I guess 2 bad reviews, you know. But for the overwhelming positive amount of that, I would call that a success. And I'm also a little wary if there's not at least 1 bad review on something. If something gets 5 stars, sometimes it almost seems like it's just too good to be true. So you got to make sure you have somebody out there who, you know, is just mad about something. Don't waste your money. But everything else, everybody else pretty much described the same thing that I felt. So as I said, this can be used for a number of different applications, and one of those is that if, say, you live in an apartment and your neighbor bangs on the wall every time you sneeze the wrong way, well, last thing you want to do is try to crank up an amp and practice and then have them call the cops on you or whatever. And say you live in a dorm room situation, or you share really tight sleeping quarters or living quarters with somebody, well, you can get away from them for a minute by plugging in some earbuds or headphones and playing and practicing, and they don't have to hear an amp, and you don't have to annoy each other. So that's another thing. And like the one comment said, happy life, happy wife. Say you live with a significant other and they're trying to sleep, it's 3 a.m., you just want to play guitar. Well, instead of having to walk all the way into another room on another side of the house, you just reach over, grab the thing off your nightstand, plug in some headphones and just play, and you don't have to bother them with any noise. Plus, you don't have to worry about trying to like find your little practice amp in the dark and then like bring a whole bunch of stuff crashing down and then have them wanting to stab you in your sleep when they wake up. Yeah, just something to think about. Another great thing about this too is, say you're getting ready to go on stage in an hour and you're at the venue, the house music's really cranked through the PA so you can't get away from that. Your bandmates won't shut up in the green room so you can't get away from them. Well, another perfect solution. I can't remember what that riff was, or I just want to practice that transition, or I just need to warm up with a couple of songs before we go on. Well, that way you can just plug it in, play, and you don't have to be bothered by anybody else. And then that way you can catch up on what you need to before your gig and have better peace of mind with that. And another great thing too is if you're going on a long trip, like, I don't know, a train ride or wherever you are, you're just out somewhere, just anywhere you want to be, like you're at the park, whatever, you're in a hotel room, you're in some sort of application where you don't necessarily have access to be able to just plug in a little practice amp and play, but you want to be able to. Well, this thing is completely portable on that. So I guess at this point I'll just go ahead and shut my trap and I'll let the thing speak for itself. So I'm going to plug it direct in and just see what the tone it gets right out of the board, and let's see what we're up against. Alright, so I have the guitar plugged from just a cord, from just a guitar cable, into this coupler here, and just right in. And then I also have just an 1/8 inch out, and I've got that a connector going into my interface. So this is basically just going to be an example of just the sound coming out of this thing, what it can do. So the first thing is, you turn it on, you hold this button over here near the jack, and you see it lights up. If you hit this button again, you see it's changing colors. I don't know how well you can tell if it's, so that's red, that's a green, and then that's kind of an orange yellow, but I don't know how well it's coming through there. So it's just different settings. One's just the tone, one is a mid scoop low, and one is a mid scoop high. So so this is the gain all the way down. So if I turn the gain about halfway, and if I just go for the gusto, that. And then try a different tone. And then say the last tone. And there's different, there's a tone setting to where so if I turn the gain back down some, alright, so that's, and it's pretty good. It sounds like an amp. It sounds pretty good, and it's just crazy that all that tone comes out of this. So we tried a couple of the effect settings. So basically the way to turn the effects on is just you hit the button. It has 3 different settings. So the first one is chorus. And then you have some delay. And then you have reverb. So I usually like to play with the delay on because I just really like the way it sounds. But in order to change effects, you have to basically hit these buttons at the same time, and then it'll beep. Well, oops, I just turned it off. So I guess you hit the, yeah. So when you hear this, that's 1. So it's like a small reverb, and then hit it again. Slightly larger, and you'll hear 3 beeps. So, you know, same thing. That's dry, and then so if I just, so that's 1, and then I go to the extreme. You get like that, you know, hairband solo action happening, and then here are the delays. So that's 1, and then the second, and then so yeah, that's my favorite personally. You can only select one thing at a time, so you either get a chorus, a reverb, or a delay. But like I said, I just usually tend to like delay, because it is, in a weird roundabout way, I guess, almost kind of like having a chorus and reverb, because it has a trail plus it doubles up what's left. So I guess it's like a happy medium for me. But yeah, I mean, it sounds, you know, pretty f***ing good in my opinion. So now playing through a 7-string. Single coils. Something with hot rails. Alright, so turning it off is just as easy as turning it on. So just after, you know, when it's on, you just do that. It blinks and then it's off. Another thing that I didn't even notice until now is that, because when you look, you know, you can see that, but I didn't even notice that there were numbers on it until just now. So that way you can actually tell where you are as far as level goes. So that's nifty. The auxiliary channel, the auxiliary in, a thing that I did want to point out about that is if you got your phone or whatever hooked up to it, it basically just slaves off of that device's volume. So it's a bypass. It's pretty much just bypassing right through that into the headphones. So whatever your phone volume is, it is not affected by the volume on the actual device here. So your guitar volume you can adjust and your phone volume you can adjust separately, like by the phone itself. So that's pretty cool. So yeah, in my opinion, this thing was worth the nearly $50 I spent for it, and I think that any guitarist could benefit from this just for any reason. And the tone that this thing produces is actually pretty incredible, being the fact that it's just a little circuit board. And, just some small little thing like this can produce something that sounds pretty legit. I mean, it's got good tone, and I don't know. I'm pretty impressed with it, and I might actually end up getting the bass one sometime in the future, because that would be cool to have the practice, bass with. And supposedly it's got rhythms built in, whatever that means. I don't know if it's drum beats or something like that in the bass version, but I'm just kind of curious to check that out. And I mean, for an investment like that small, it's a really worthy purchase, because just the convenience factor alone is just worth every penny of that, just with the versatility this thing has. I mean, yeah, I'm pretty impressed. Alright, so hopefully you found this helpful, and if so, please give me a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and share this video with anyone you think that could benefit from this. Hopefully you found this helpful. Alright, so hopefully you found this helpful, and if so, please don't forget to like, and also subscribe if you haven't yet, and share this video with anybody that you think could benefit from this information. And that's all I got for now, so until then, I'll see you next time.